Hi. Thanks for thanks for being here, all of you. And I just can't begin to express how much Mary and I appreciate your support, your love. Um, Mary says she can't hear me. I can hear me. I see that I'm not muted, so it must be on her end. You would all be telling me that you couldn't hear me by now. But again, I want to go back to saying, how much I think about you all the time, and I just think you're such a wonderful group, and I really appreciate all your support, uh, and all the things you do. So yeah, it's wonderful. I know we don't have a lot of time because this is a 45-minute slot before the premiere, and tonight, I say a lot of things I really haven't said before, and I've kept stored up inside of me, and it's that old thing where you think this is too crazy. But I'm learning to just let go, because what does it matter? I'm not saying this is absolutely how it is. Um, excuse me for a moment. I don't know that this is really the truth. I'm only certain of one thing, and that is that you and I are all having a shared experience with something that appears to be non-human intelligence. In my case, it seems to be the grays. There seems to be a variety of different forms of grays and beings visiting the earth, and not all of you um, are interacting with the same beings. I do realize that there's some good guys out there and there's some bad guys out there. I mean, if Earth is a microcosm for what lies beyond Earth out in the universe, sort of like how if you take a swim off the coast of the Pacific Ocean and you look at the life under the water, it's a microcosm of what's probably on the other side of the world in the water. I don't think the universe is much different. So it could be that some of you are dealing with something not so pleasant. I won't rule that out. And the other thing is too is I've learned a lot from AJ. I know I've talked about him a lot, and you're probably getting tired of that. But one of the things that he's really good at is teaching people humility. Um, I used to get really upset, and I'm just going to use this as an example. When I'd be in the presence of someone who says, "Oh, those moon landings were all fake. That never happened. It couldn't happen for this reason or that reason." Well, I'm pretty good on science, and I'm very good on aviation, and very know my stuff. But after seeing what he had to say last night about the green movement, green energy, um, and his hints about being on the fence about the moon landings, I don't discount him in any way or anyone else as a human being, because they have a right to their opinion. Now, you don't have a right to be mean and nasty. And that I have a problem with. In other words, if you don't believe my way, then I'm done with you, kind of thing. Well, that doesn't need to be pursued. You might be able to reason with someone like that. It might be worth a try. But the thing is about the moon landings is, I know a lot about aviation. I know a lot about rocketry. I know a lot about, because I am an amateur rocketry person and all that. But basically, when it comes down to it, like, you only have my word to take for it that these things are actually happening to me. I mean, I haven't removed an implant, and even that could be, um, you could be skeptical about that. That I could have video. You could be skeptical about that. You could have pictures. I could take a photograph of a gray. I'd love to be able to do that. They move so fast. I doubt that would ever happen. And I don't normally have a camera hanging off me at 3 a.m. when I get up to go to the bathroom. So, but even if I could, it would be discounted. So you take the moon landing just as an example. We all know that NASA covers up stuff, don't we? We do know that they've doctored photographs. They've been caught time and time again doing that. And we have their word in the astronauts, and they're all working for the government, word to take for landing on the moon. Yeah, I've never been to the moon to see the landing site. Have you? I mean, that would be ultimately the proof. So with that being said, I have to listen, and I can't be judgmental, and I can't discount someone, especially if they tell me in a kind and understanding way that they don't feel it's possible we went to the moon for these reasons. Um, but if they tell me I'm an idiot because I think we went to the moon, and I do believe we did, um, that's not nice. I don't like that at all. Um, I don't know quite how to deal with it. But I do know when I see comments, such as I've seen, and one today in particular, about my experience, and I left the comment up. I did that on purpose because that way you could see what happens sometimes. Now, if you're on my show and you're involved in this, I know how it is to have these experiences, whatever they may be. It's traumatic. It changes your life. It's very personal. And when someone comes along and calls you stupid and a liar, or you're sick and that kind of thing, it doesn't feel good. So when that happens and it's directed at you, Mary and I take it down. When it's directed at me, I leave it up. Not unless it's really crude and nasty, and but I think it's only fair to be that way. And one of the things I've learned, or that's been reinforced in me, is by AJ on the White Files. He is an honest person, I believe. I believe his honesty is his Achilles heel, because last night when he was saying that the green energy thing was a scam, a lot of people got mad and said goodbye White Files, and left. They got hot-headed about it. But how much do you really know about green energy and what's going on? What it takes to build those windmills, and then what it takes to put them where they are, what it takes to make lithium batteries. Do you know what goes into that? Do you know how nasty they are? What do you do with them? Now, I know I'm a radio-controlled airplane guy, and so I work with lithium batteries all the time, polys, and we have to dispose them properly. And then I'm not sure what they do with them afterwards, but they are a nasty, volatile thing. And we do have other forms of power that would completely eliminate them, and it's been kept from us for years and years. If you watch the show I posted in community that AJ very boldly shared with us last night, you'll see all the facts, you'll see all the proof, and you'll hear it straight from him. I'm not going to go into it in detail. I know a lot of you want to talk about the experience and about the grays and the visitors, what do you want to call them? And I'm with you there. But I did want to point that out. I wanted to point out how much I appreciate you all. And I know that you have that same disposition. You're very open-minded. You're very peaceful. You're very loving. You're not angry. And you don't take things out on other people, or call them names or idiots or anything like that. And so for that, I really, really have a great deal of respect for you. I do. And so does Mary. So with that being said, I'd like to thank Naomi Ott. She just upgraded to a Otts. Okay. She just upgraded to a CE3 patron, and we just really appreciate that. That qualifies her for, if she's had experiences and she's had a particular contact with a certain kind of being or gray or whatever it is, or saw a UFO and would like a piece of artwork of it done, she gets it from me. At some point this year, she'll be sent. If she describes to me what she saw, then I will turn it into a piece of art, just to show my appreciation. So thank you, Naomi. Thank you so much. Really appreciate that. I don't know if you're here, but you'll probably hear about it through the grapevine. And we did send you an email. So tonight's show, yeah, it's really interesting. There are some things that I found I could better articulate after I did the show. It's the funny thing. And also some other information came to me from the heart. I heard it being said to me that there was things a certain way. I'm not going to give it away now. I will talk about it though after the show, and I plan to do a Substack and breaking the silence there. If you're not um, a Substack subscriber, you can subscribe for free there, and you can read the content that I don't put enough of in, but I'm going to start doing that. And that's where you can write. It's not like Facebook or any other site. It's just your place, and you write, and people can comment and interact. And Substack's a really good thing. So I'm going to talk about that. They put Whitley through hell with ridicule. That man is a true hero. Well, yeah, sure, they did, and I've been put through it, and so many people have been put through it. It's fear, it's being judgmental, it's so many things, but we don't have that here in this community. We just don't, and we're here to talk about this stuff. So something's been going on. It's been going on a lot lately, and it was said to me today by a close friend of mine who also has these experiences, that, and I've been suggested many times that I'm so involved again, and I'm around the community, and I'm doing films and all that kind of stuff, that it's what's causing it, whether it be on a psychological level where I'm so exposed to it that I'm having dreams, super powerful dreams about it, and they're just dreams. And of course, there we go with that phrase again, just dreams. Or it's really visitor interaction, which, okay, we go back to the same old thing, don't we? We go back to, how does it feel inside? You know, your gut, what does it tell you? Is it just dreams, or is it really happening? And when it screams at you, know it's really happening, you kind of have to listen to it. So I tend to follow my gut, and so does Mary. And I know last night, I don't remember much, little chunks, but boy, I woke up feeling terrible. I mean, I don't know how to describe terrible except drained. I don't hurt anywhere particularly. I just feel like I'm almost like, I feel like I'm dying or something. It's just this dreadful feeling. And it's almost on the edge of having a bit of nausea, but not really. I mean, I still have an appetite and everything, but I just feel like I've got to get through this, and I know I will. And I always do. So I don't know if you guys experienced that. I know that other people I know say, yep, absolutely, I have, and I do. And, I know when it's happened and everything. And then, as I was telling Mary, I may sleep very well tonight because nothing's going to happen. I'll wake up feeling fine, but I will have a clear memory of dreaming about, as I did the other night, I dreamed about this little guy. He couldn't have been more than 2.5 feet tall. I think 3 feet, not quite. He had red hair. He had blue eyes. He looked very human, but he looked like a dwarf, and he was very tiny, and he had this little jumpsuit on, and he had some instrument, and I recognized it, but I can't, for the life of me, think of what it is now. I can see it in my mind as I'm thinking about it, talking to you about it, but then I looked around, and the building seemed very almost military kind of like, but not really. And then he took me into a room that I thought was a bathroom, and it wasn't a bathroom. And I remember him putting something that he could get up and stand higher on. And that was no, he was more like Doofy. I mean, this guy was really small. Now, it could be just a crazy dream, but what I've noticed is that this has happened far into the past when I was working with Yvonne back in the 90s, and I knew something would happen. It happened, and I would dream about it days later. Excuse me. This always happens when I'm on the show and I'm talking to you guys about this subject. And I think there's something there too. I don't know. That's the name of my movie. Yeah, I would dream about it. And the thing about the dream is it would not be crazy. It would be, I was inside of a building, and there was stainless steel hallways, and I was taken into a room, and I was set down, and I was talked to, and then I was examined, and all that stuff. And you wake up, wow, it is said that a lot of things that are suppressed in your mind will come through in your subconscious and your dreams. And I do believe that for myself. I think that is very true. And then of course you go and you have hypnosis and even more detail comes out. So yeah. So I'm feeling better now. I mean, on the way here from home, I was telling Mary, I said I feel, yeah, that's how I feel. I feel tired, but I feel okay. It's it's really hard to go through this. And, for a long time, I thought they were done with me, but I guess not. Thank you, Catkins. Thank you very much. And Lost Pianist. Something afoot. Yeah. Sometime. Well, I hope not. I really don't want to, and I hope you're not having to sleep with one of those things on your face. So I have a lot of friends that do, and they, as far as I know, they don't have any of this stuff going on. So how have you all been? I'm sitting here talking about myself all the time, and I know you like hearing about my experiences and stuff. But how are you guys? Okay, Catkins. I'm glad to see you have a sense of humor about this. I do too. I mean, sometimes it's just really funny. The whole thing's so ridiculous. Okay, Poncho. Listen to your Rachel. Thank you. Listen to your intuition. That's the same thing. It's the gut. It's your heart. It's your intuition. It's the thing that tells you you're turning the wrong way when you're following the directions. Even though it was written out very clearly that you're supposed to turn that way. It's that's just one example, and I use it all the time. And I'll come up with something new, but for now it works pretty well. So, so I guess you guys are all okay because you didn't react to that much. So I'm glad. Um, Again, next week I'm doing another show about my own personal experience, and we're not getting people to come forward on camera. They are writing to us, and they do want us ups and downs at this end. Steve Aurora, just keeping on. Thanks. Good. Well, good. Ups and downs. Well, we all have those. Um, yeah, it's very difficult to get people to come forward. They will write to us, and they will want to be anonymous. And Mary will read their stories on a podcast, which I love. It's one of my favorite formats, especially for those letters. Um, but you can come on, and we can keep you in shadow, perhaps, if you don't want to use your real name, because in sharing your story, um, as you know well, when you have someone else share their story with you, it helps you. It helps me. It makes us all feel better. Because I think most of the reason that this is a thing that we're not supposed to remember, that they seem to work at keeping secret from us, is because how it interferes with our lives. And I don't think they don't want you to remember because you'll tell someone about them and they'll be found out, because that's never worked. No one's going to believe you. And they know that. So it must mean, for me, again, this is just for me, it's just strictly my opinion, that any intelligence that would try to protect you from these memories so that you could live your life actually cares. So, I was just reading Poncho. Well, it was them arriving and not Independence Day style. Yeah, yeah. You're making a fake rattlesnake for a movie. Oh, cool. Cool. I used to do that kind of stuff all the time, as you well know. They threw everything at me, you know. They did. One of my favorite films to work on was The Thing with Rob Bottin. One of them. Fright Night was fun too, and Ghostbusters. But yeah, The Thing was great. Yeah, it was great. I love John Carpenter. And thank you. That's look at Anne's comment, and that's just so great. She's willing to come here on her own dime and be interviewed and use her name. And Anne's got some great things to share with us, as you well know. Thank you so much. Okay. Do I feel Carl? Hi, Carl. I don't think I've seen you here before, but I could be wrong. I don't get a buzzing in my head. I don't. I get buzzings in other parts of my body though. Sometimes it feels like a phone that's on silence. So yes, I Rachel, of course. I mean, I'm always having problems with my sinuses. Implant. That's one thing I didn't bring up in tonight's show. Hi, Steve. 72. You'll also have a lot of the same experiences. Oh, hi, Robert. Yeah, I do. Okay. Yes, I did know Forey quite well, and I hung out at his place, and he had a lot of my stuff in his collection. And yep. And Ray Bradbury. I never got a chance to meet Ray Harryhausen for some reason. I always missed him, but I didn't watch the film. No. Um, Yeah, one of the things I didn't bring up in tonight's show because it happened, I think it was yesterday, after I was already done. And that is, I got told that the implant in my ear is a piece of her, a piece of the big tall visitor that I've dealt with. You know the one. I've shown her in the videos, and she's big and she's tall and she's elegant, and I can never get her quite right, but I'm getting better at it all the time. And it's a piece of her tissue. Well, at least the implant, which is about the size of a grain of wheat, is from her, which connects us. I don't know whether to believe it or not, or am I crazy or what? But that's what popped in my head just out of nowhere. Who knows? How does the family treat you now with your experience? I mean, I where'd it go? I hope they're respectful. Well, my family is Mary and my adopted grandchildren. They adopted me, Mary's grandchildren, and her daughter and husband, and they're very open-minded, non-judgmental people. I don't have any problem. My previous family, on the other hand, did not treat me well at all. They just treated me very badly. Drumming sound. Now, Rachel, I don't hear a drumming sound, but for the longest time, I've been hearing this sound that I've never been able to locate, and I hear it everywhere I go. It could be at the top of a mountain, and it's sort of a, and it changes all the time, and I never stop hearing it. And I could even hear it now if I take these headphones off and sit quietly. I'll be able to hear it at night. It's loud as it can be. I go to the bathroom in the morning, and it's just in the early morning, and it's humming and singing and carrying on. And to this day, I don't know what it is, but I have a feeling it has a connection with all this. Now, maybe that's what you're referring to. Is it odd to want to be abducted? I don't think so, because you're curious. You have heard the sound before too. The one that grabbed you by the neck. What about the one that grabbed me by the neck? I haven't had the street lights blow out. They just go off. Then I walk away from them and they go back on. And if I step back under again, they'll go off. And that happened a lot back during the 90s to the point my late wife, it got her crazy because she knew there had to be something up with that. Yeah, I have heard about that, Jamie. Uh, That's very interesting because my friend today I was talking to, and she wants to remain anonymous, and she definitely has these experiences, and she works in the entertainment business, and she's done her best to bring good shows on this subject forward. She's having the same problem you are, which is something because I just got off the phone with her about 3 hours ago. I don't know if that means anything, Catkins, but there it is, right? I mean, I've always got to point that out because we just can't assume things. If we're going to be certain about something, we really have to know. And again, I'll point out the only thing I'm certain of is that there's something to all this, and it's really happening. And other people have seen it with me, and they've seen it with you, and we've all seen it, and we know it, and we feel it, and that's what we got. That's what we got. Fascination rather than fear. Boy, you guys. Uh, so you have very sensitive hearing. Well, that's the other thing with me too. And at a very early age, I could hear. I'd be out to dinner with my mom, and I could tell her what people were saying, 5 tables away, and she kind of perked up and noticed that. And also, I remember she brought a dog whistle home one time, and I could hear it, and she perked up at that. And basically, she told me, "You have the family hearing, and you need to be careful with it, and don't eavesdrop, and don't listen to what people are saying." But as I've said in the past, when I had employees working for me and they were talking behind my back, it was really fun. I'm sorry, that little bit of evil came out in me. We all have it. But I have very sensitive hearing and very sensitive sense, Rachel, yes, and a very sensitive sense of smell. And how about your night vision? Is that also really acute? Because mine is. Even though I've got floaters and I have eye problems, I still can see very well in the night. Just Zippo, huh? Well, that happened to me, and then it came back. Yes. So you do have good night vision. I think that's what you're referring to. It's like a drumming sound in my head. And last night, the street light flickered as I passed it. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with that. And now most the sodium vapor lights, the old style ones that cause so much light pollution, they've been mostly replaced by LEDs, and I don't know if we knock LEDs out or not, but I haven't noticed it yet. But there's sodium vapors around here still, and they do go out sometimes when I'm driving past them. I can see in my bedroom with my eyes closed. It's an interesting thing, that effect, and I don't know if it's because when we close our eyes, we know where everything is, and we can see it that way because our minds are very visual. But what I have noticed lately is that, and it doesn't happen all the time. I can't seem to manifest it. It either happens on its own or it doesn't. I'll have my eyes closed, and like I said before, I will see a gray face develop in front of me, like when I used to work in a darkroom developing film, except that it's alive and it's moving. Um, it's not disturbing. I'm fascinated by it. It's like they're poking through, and I can see them. Because let's not forget that they exist in that realm where we go when we're no longer in these physical bodies. So they have great abilities, I guess. It was an LED. Wow. Well, now I know. What did Spielberg just announced? He's working on a new UFO related. No one knows yet anything else about it. Well, that's good to know because he always does a good job. And, Stephen is very, very deeply connected with the subject matter. And he won't tell you, or he won't tell the media anyway, exactly how deep that goes. But it's enough to say that he's a lot like us, I think. Um, uh, huh. Wow, Anne. But you're feeling better now, I hope. When you open your eyes, they're there. Yeah, well, I've seen plenty of human type beings with the grays. Um, Tall, thin, odd faces, sometimes wearing jumpsuits, sometimes wearing actual suits, sometimes wearing hats. I mean, it's sometimes with briefcases. And then one time I saw this being that its face was it was sort of like transparent, and I could see the muscle structure and colors and things running under it, and it had these very odd eyes, and it was wearing like a suit and a hat. And another time I saw a being sitting up against a tree, and I looked down at it, and it had dark eyes, very reflective dark eyes, not necessarily huge, but it had like a werewolf. But it was finer. It had this hair all over, and he was wearing a brimmed hat and looked up at me. Um, and this is when you're in that state where you're fascinated, confused, and curious, and disoriented all at the same time. So maybe it's just a dream, but for me, I don't think it is. Was Yuri thinking back? Huh. Well, it's interesting. You should bring that up because the next film that we're shooting later this year, probably in June, the Double Slit Experience, deals with that about a visitor coming right into a living room and being right there and present, not in a dream, sitting in a chair across from you. Let's have an existential conversation. Large heads, yeah, I've seen large heads, but I've also seen them with smaller heads. So not better. Well, I'm sorry, Anne. Gray can't reproduction. I don't know. I'm not sure. I can literally see into my room even though my eyes are closed, like normal vision, even when I'm not asleep and just shut my eyes. I know that's possible. I know it is. Oh, hallelujah. Hot dog. Well, hey, thank you. I did get that right, didn't I? That's very sweet. I really appreciate that. Um, I do understand now, Catkins. I've had that experience many times where I close my eyes and suddenly it's like they're open. Dressed as nuns, bro. For real. I've heard that too. I have. Uh, Rachel, you wish you could see their world. Well, when this place I went, I called it the park for the longest time. I remember telling Whitley about it and how I got there, and these big silver flying cigar silent ships that are like flying buses with windows in them, and there were human attendants that were these pretty older ladies with silver hair, and they were wearing these blue suits and standing by the vehicles landing in this beautiful world. I mean, it was the most incredible place I've ever experienced. And they had these little wings they were wearing, and the wings were turned down, and there was like a little garnet like jewel at the center of it. Um, and I remembered all these different types of beings walking all around, humanoid, that they were all different. Everybody seemed to be getting along, but the thing that was so amazing is I felt like I was in a pine forest, And there was no stress and no sense of fear or anger or hostility or anything in this world. I wanted to stay there forever, but I don't know that that was their world. Again, hallelujah, hot dog. Thank you so much. Dogs can see them, for your information, when they're cloaked. You know, Pancho, I believe that's true because I've had many dogs over the years. I can't live without a dog, and I've had them many times chase something through the house right to a wall and then stand at the wall and bark at it. My late wife was privy to that more than once, and it really, really shook her up because she knew they were seeing something we couldn't see. So I know that is true. And thanks for bringing that up because that's the stuff that really helps. You know, if you think you've experienced something, you know something that you haven't heard anyone else talk about, bring it up. You'll be surprised how many people will say, "Hey, I wasn't going to say anything, but yeah." And so that's really cool. My dog who passed. Yep, I would love to see that in art form. See what in art form? Which particular thing? I've I think I've been to the park several other times. I remember after my dad passed away, I was in a very similar place, and he came because he died very suddenly in a car accident when I was 14. He came to talk to me, and I believe it was there. And I can see it now in my mind, and in the bench and the trees everywhere, and the beautiful landscape, and hardly any buildings. And any buildings they were just blended in so well to nature that you could barely notice them. It was really something. The alien world, yeah. Well, that'd be a hard one. I could do it in 3D. CGI probably better, but it's something I've always wanted to be able to share. But I think that a lot of the people have had it. And there was a movie, and I wish I could remember the name of it now, about where you go in the afterlife. And it was based on, I think it was a number of books the South American author wrote about going to the other side. And it really shocked me when I saw the movie, and there were the flying cigar ships, and so much of it was the same. And I wish somebody here might remember the name of that film. Yeah, Catkins. That's exactly it. Yeah, I've seen orbs. Sure. I mean, if you go back to the original pilot episode that started this all, um, I saw a rather large one with my friend with our telescopes when we were up at the high mountains. Um, what's that? My dogs. Yeah, I hear this all the time, and there are videos online of dogs doing this, and people are saying they're seeing ghosts. Well, ghosts, grays, it's all the same. Yeah, but it doesn't always work, and we do remember, and it can be it can be troubling. And sometimes you might think, I wish I could never remember this stuff, and I just could go through life with in bliss, and not have this. But I think if everybody on Earth did that, I don't know what would happen to us as a species. Because what we're being asked to do by our culture isn't exactly seeking spirituality or connection with nature or the stars. And we are all doing that because of this interaction. At least that's one of the reasons. There are other reasons probably too, but I mean, since I've been a little kid, I would go off into the woods all by myself, spend endless time in it, and loving everything that moved and crawled and flew and swam, and the birds in the sky. I mean, it's just, there's something there, something to it. I was born and went through the process. And you just, maybe she did animal spirit. Huh. Hey, Groucho. Well, I'm going to do one of the I'm deciding now what I'm going to do this week coming up, but one of the things is the same person I was with that night and we saw the big orb up on Fraser Park that he couldn't remember 2 weeks later, which shocked my late wife because he talked to her about it. I was in Burbank and we were in the backyard with our telescopes, and I saw an orb flying up over the mountains over there, and I called to it in my mind, and it came flying down, and it wasn't very big at all. It was, I don't know, about that big around, and it flew into the backyard. And I don't know if this was a dream or what, but I remember it as a thing that actually happened because we were there with the telescopes, and it flew into the backyard, and it came right up to me, and it made this sound. It almost sounded electronic and mechanical at the same time, and I saw and I remember someone here telling me about that. I could see the face of a gray in it, but then I saw other images, and it was showing me all these different images, and I couldn't resist it. I reached my hands out and very carefully grabbed it, and I felt this tingle from it, and this buzz, and this whoa, wow, what is wow? And then I let go, and I don't remember what happened after that. So it's going to be a short video. So it might have to be multiple videos but that happened, and and that was during a time when it was the 80s, no, 70s. It had to be around 78. And I was seeing all kinds of UFO activity, and all my friends around me were seeing it. And they were seeing things over my apartment, and they followed a craft to my apartment. And yeah, I wasn't making the connection. I just thought, that I had a thing with UFOs, but I didn't understand that I had more interaction than I realized, of course, until I read Whitley's book later on. Same old story. Yeah, there is a meteor shower tonight and a comet, but you're going to have to be in some pretty dark, high up places to see any of it. You might see some. I mean, it's always worth a try, but unfortunately, it's going to be overcast here. You'd love to see the aurora. Well, she's right here somewhere. Oh, no, I'm just joking. Ever hear of bubbles falling out of UFOs? Yes. Well, um, um, James Lowe, Jim Lowe, he described it as dripping metal, and in one of the shows that I did, it shows that, and I do know about that. Well, but something, okay, but something is there. Me, Mike, is a film. It's not a documentary. So it's based on my experiences, starting with the first one I can remember. And at that time in 2018, went to my last one, which was with Whitley Strieber. I was on the phone with him, and I saw the big triangle come over my backyard, and some of the other stuff that happened to me. It's not all of it. It's a 49-minute movie, or maybe it's 40 minutes now because I cut it down some. And it's a film, and it's on the channel, and you can watch it. Yeah, 3 or 4 a.m. Boy, why is it always at that time? Even if it's a meteor shower. Yes, we did, Mary. Hi, Aurora. Okay. 2019, I had an intense vision, like a video. Yeah, well, I had a dream one night that um, I had to park my Italian sports car out in the street, and I love that car. It was a rare one. It was Ferrari red and all this. It wasn't Ferrari, it was a Fiat, but it was a beautiful thing, and it was covered. And the dream is that I heard the alarm go off, and I went down to it, and as I pulled the car cover off, pieces of the car fell, had been sideswiped, and it fell off, and the street light that was right there caught and reflected on some of the pieces of it that hit the ground just a certain way. So fast forward to the next night, I wake up, the car alarm's going off. I go down, run down really quick, And as I'm pulling the car cover off and I see this piece come out and reflect the light right back at me from the street light, I went, oh my God, I dreamed this exactly last night. It does happen. So what is that? Coincidence? And if that happens once, or if it happens 10 times or 100 times, that would seem to suggest that time is not what we think. It isn't. And that our consciousness is capable of looking ahead. That's as far as I'll go with that, because I don't really know. I'm not a scientist about that stuff. Huh. Dirty brown, sort of greasy bubbles fell out of the sky. Wow. Huh. Well, that is kind of a new one. The greasy brown. I've heard brownish looking gray types seen. I don't think it was dripping them. Wow. Yeah, well, that one certainly was accurate. I'm telling you, that thing was accurate. So, okay, it is less than 15 minutes till the show runs. I hope you guys enjoy it. As I said before, there were some things I found out after I made the show. I would love to have time to go back and put in there. And I found it very difficult to express in words uh, what I was feeling and seeing in my mind as I sat in front of the camera. But I'll close with saying this. I know you all love your animals, and I may have spoken of this last night, and I'm sure I did, but the other day I was, Nova was trying to get my attention, and she always has my attention. And I bent down to her, and there's this thing I love to do, and I did it with Rosie too when she was still with us, and I put my forehead against her forehead, and I just I just feel this love and this joy and innocence like no other feeling I can get from any other creature on the planet, except maybe a child. Because both of them are innocent, both of them are pure. And I can't help but wonder if we're not having a similar relationship, not as pets, but as they're trying to experience something they no longer have through us. So I want to thank you for being here tonight. What a bunch of great questions and a great bunch of stuff that you shared with us all, which is greatly appreciated because you're welcome, Anne. You're welcome. You, you're welcome, period. It does help me too, a great deal, because this subject matter is never easy. And at times that you just think it's too much and you got to get away, which is why we have hobbies and other things we do. It's okay to escape from it. It's okay to go do other things. So I'll see you very soon, and enjoy the show tonight. And thanks again for all your support. Good night.